I am deeply honored and humbled by this special audience you are giving me today with my colleagues from the OPEC Secretariat and indeed the entire oil and gas community in our dear country. As we have heard from the Honorable Minister of State of Petroleum, it was a distinct honor, and may I say, an honor of a lifetime, for you to have given me the opportunity to serve as OPEC Secretary General number 28 from 2016 to 2022. I will forever remain grateful for your hospitality, for your generosity, for your trust in me to plunge into the turmoil that we had in 2016 as elaborated upon by Minister Timmy Silva. Little did we know, Mr. President, that when we signed the Declaration of Cooperation Framework on the 10th of December 2016 in Vienna, bringing together 23 oil-producing and exporting countries from both OPEC and non-OPEC in order to begin to work together for the first time in history to restore stability to the market that was completely in dislocation as a result of the downturn that Minister Silva referred to. Your Excellency, I recall vividly that when I assumed office in Vienna in the summer of 2016, prices had plunged to -10 US$ a barrel as a result of the buildup of inventories, stocks of both crude oil and petroleum products around the world to a level that was never seen in history. It had reached over 400 million barrels a day over the industry's 5-year average, and hence prices plunged to -10 US$. It was very obvious to me, Mr. President, that this was beyond OPEC alone to address. And therefore, we needed to get the support of other leading producers around the world. And I recall I did consult with you during that time on telephone, and I indeed drank from your fountain of wisdom and from your deep reservoir of knowledge of OPEC and global affairs, and your advice and guidance worked. I set out to various capitals around the world to try to persuade them to understand the gravity of the situation and the need for them to urgently join hands with OPEC. I did explain to them they didn't have to be full members of OPEC, but we could work together in a framework of cooperation. And on the 10th of December, we signed this historic agreement in Vienna, and on the 1st of January, we started working together, and alhamdulillah, we were able to assist the oil market to restore stability to this market. We were able to bring down this unprecedented level of stocks to the industry average. But we never expected, Mr. President, that a virus in 2020 will completely destabilize the oil market and indeed bring the entire global industry to the brink. On the 20th of April, Mr. President, WTI, the West Texas Intermediate Benchmark crude of the United States, went into negative territory to -38 US$ a barrel. And for the first time in history, sellers of oil like ourselves had to pay buyers to take our crude. And then it dawned on everyone that the world needed to act. And act we did because we realized that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We had the tested toolkit in the Declaration of Cooperation that we signed in December 2016 that had worked for several years. All we needed to do was to dust it up and to amend it in order to face this calamitous situation. And we were able to, as Minister Silva said, agree to withdraw 9.7 million barrels a day from the market, and this was the highest ever adjustment in the history of OPEC, in the history of oil, because of the gravity of the situation. And we took a decision for a duration of 2 years. As you recall yourself, as a Minister of Petroleum and leader of OPEC's delegation, Nigeria's delegation to OPEC, that most of the decisions that we normally take had maximum of 1 year. But because of this gravity, we had to take a longer duration. We are currently in the final lap of restoring the entire 9.7 million barrels a day to the market, because the market has responded positively to these historic decisions. The global economy had also rebounded. In 2021, we saw the global economy rebounded by about 9.7% global GDP, as opposed to the minus 3.5% global GDP in 2020. And in 2022, we are continuing to see growth despite the turbulence that we are currently facing. Throughout this period, Mr. President, I had continued to benefit from your tremendous international goodwill. Everywhere I went in this world, both within OPEC and outside, the first person they asked me of by your fellow presidents, prime ministers, kings, is how is my brother, President Muhammadu Buhari. I therefore benefited from this charisma of yours, this international gravitas that you have in abundance, and has made my job much, much easier. Your Excellency, whatever we have been able to achieve in the last 6 years was also as a result of the teamwork with my colleagues in the OPEC Secretariat in Vienna. I have learned from your experience. I tried to follow your large footsteps. We built a very strong team, and we continued to move despite the turbulence. And alhamdulillah, we have been able to survive 2 major oil cycles, 2 major downturns, both in 2016 as well as in 2020. I am confident that the worst is over for us as OPEC and as OPEC member countries, and the future looks very promising. Nigeria will continue to play its leadership role in this organization, as well as in the global oil industry. Mr. President, on behalf of OPEC, I thank you very much. I deeply appreciate and remain forever grateful for this trust and this honor that you have bestowed on us. We wish you long life, very good health, and continued service to humanity. I thank you, sir.
Executive Secretary.